Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Tiffany Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. You're ugly. Period. Power approved.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Are you ready?
Power. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We just lost two of our co-hosts. What happened?
I didn't do it.
Hopefully they'll be back in momentarily. This has been a very interesting week for not only the NWA, but for wrestling in general. I mean, we've got Impact is no longer Impact, or I guess it won't be at the end of the year. Impact Wrestling is becoming TNA Wrestling again. What are your thoughts on that, Dave Scooby? Welcome to the show, by the way.
Well, thank you. Who knows? I mean, it's three letters you can chant. That's about all I can say. I mean, they've been doing well as Impact, but if they want to go back and start anew, I can't blame them for going back. I mean, it's getting some attention here and there, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, our other friend Jaden is on the show under the name of Manila Godzilla. Sir, how are you? What are your thoughts on the new name change for TNA Wrestling?
Everybody's been calling it TNA for years anyway, so might as well, honestly.
And DKM, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm basically with Jaden there. I mean, it was NWA, TNA, then it was TNA, and then their show was TNA Impact. And then they used Impact more often than they used TNA. And then
Global Force.
Well, they were Impact for about a month. Then they changed to Global Force because they went back, they merged with Jarrett. And that lasted long enough to put plates on the belts.
Stickers.
And then they went back to Impact when they kicked Jarrett back out. That was, 2-3 weeks? It was very short.
Wasn't very long at all.
I'm almost certain it wasn't a month. And then, So then they went back to Impact, which they've been a long time, but a lot of people will still call them TNA. And here we go again. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only one sad, right? Because I feel like I embraced that Impact name because I liked it so much better than TNA. But I also felt like it's a company. Anthem as Anthem and the Carters and even Jarrett himself, they fell into this rut where in the course of just over, I guess we're looking at about almost 20 or a little over 20 years as a company, and they've had like 5 different names in that time. It just, to me, it's like kind of incredible that they can't focus in on one identity. You all pretty much said that TNA is the name that you associate it with the brand anyway. So I guess that's why they are changing the name. But to me, it's just I wondered, like, how serious can we take a company that can't even keep a consistent name for more than a few years?
Well,
I want to know, Jay, when did you start doing motion capture?
What do you mean?
That shirt looks like one of those things they wear for motion capture.
Oh, yeah.
That's neat.
Thanks.
Those dots are moving on their own, though. I don't know if it's just the camera.
I think you had one too many Mickeys before you came on.
I told you not to use those mushrooms in the spaghetti sauce.
Hey, I got that from Alice, and she did a really good job cooking those special mushrooms in that sauce. Really exotic. There's a deep cut for anybody who knows what I'm talking about.
And sadly, I do. And that scares me in ways that I can't even begin to imagine. The others are just staring at us blankly like, what are they talking about? Anyway.
J-Cal.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm wearing this shirt tonight because tonight is actually 10 years ago today. I married my bride, and so although that this podcast is important to me, and she knows that, so we're going to have a nice little dinner away from home after the podcast, because on the West Coast it's only should be around 7 p.m. So that's why I'm wearing my nicer shirt that Jaden doesn't seem to like too much.
I like it. I just think it looks like it's very spotty.
So is my Wi-Fi reception. Hey-oh! Luthez says, Russo's shit soup is a taste I have never acquired, but some can't wait to lap it up. And our buddy James Bell with this late breaking news. How about the announcement by Billy that Aaron is banned from the building Saturday night? I was going to
put money. He shows up in a dress.
That would be perfect. I was going to discuss that a little bit later when we break down the pay-per-view. This is our prediction show. Jeremy may or may not be joining us. I don't think Tim will be here, but of course, Dave Scooby from the other guys, you see him every Wednesday. He has graciously joined us tonight. And of course, we're going to talk NWA. Of course, the season just wrapped up. We saw quite a bit of history happen at the 75th anniversary pay-per-view. We had a new world champion, new women's champion, new television champions were crowned both at the pay-per-view and the TV season. New U.S. tag champions, new world tag champions. Even the world junior heavyweight title had changed hands. Every single champion has been different after this season from the last season. And so I have to ask you guys, Dave Scooby specifically, DKM specifically, Jaden Less, what did you think of the season overall? What grade level would you give this season, Scoob?
I'd probably give it a B-. It told some stories, but I think they just need to tighten things up and use social media to tell a little more of the story that they really can't in an hour TV show or a 45-minute episode of Power. You use social media to enhance the stories and give a little more either backstory or further the story along. I mean, who knows? I mean, I was surprised as hell to see Roxy show up. she's been missing in action for who knows how long, and then she shows up, and there was really no storyline of where she was or mention of her until it actually happened.
That was something that I've been sitting on for since August. I didn't want to spoil it for anyone. And when you see it live, your memory is a little bit different. To me, it was a lot more violent when I was there, but then watching it back on television, it didn't seem as bad as it looked like live. But again, your memory plays games on you.
Mm-hmm.
DK, brother, what did you think of this season? And I know you like to be brutally honest. Lay it on us. What did you think?
I shared most of my brutal honesty when we talked about the first episode. So obviously that applies across the board for all these things. Show the audience, blah, blah, blah. Overall, it was strange in that there was nothing I really hated. I mean, there are some, we've had episodes before where it's just like that episode was so bad.
Yeah.
And then we've had episodes where we've gone, oh, that's like one of the best episodes they've ever put out. And I can't say either of those things are out there. It was a product that was doing its best to do its job of selling the pay-per-view. Matches came out as we went along. Some things set up. Not everything made 100% sense, but more than normal. They had some good matches in there for a TV, show. And so they didn't have anything that blew me away, but they definitely had some good stuff in there. And so it was like, if they could correct some of those main criticisms that I had for the first episode, Billy, go back and watch so that you can be refreshed on what those criticisms were. I think I think they're onto something. I mean, this is like the first time that I've really can say I see general improvement overall, with how they did this set of tapings. Well, we'll see what they do with the next set of tapings, and I did even notice towards the end that they started getting a couple of shots in that had the crowd, either Mims being back by it or a slightly different camera angle or whatever, to where you could see the crowd a little bit. So, yeah, let's see what goes. I will say one thing, and this isn't a shot at the shows themselves, but I'm not overly interested in the pay-per-view, and I'm never overly interested in gimmick pay-per-views. And so, a round table match, they can only be put through a round table. They can't use the normal rectangle ones. I mean, I don't, things like that. And what are they calling the world title one?
No limits.
No limit.
No limit. So I don't know what that means. So it's that no disqualification.
I think that means it's like an X Division match, because the X Division isn't about weight limits; it's about no limits.
So maybe, I mean, that's something. Explain to me what that is.
I just think Master P is involved with the No Limit Soldiers.
There you go. Does that mean we get? Who was the guy that they had with them? Oh, I can't remember any of the guys right now. Wasn't like
other than Brad Armstrong, I can't either.
Wasn't Chris Champion with one of in that group?
No.
Oh man, do I need to go look it up?
Yes.
All right. Well, in that case, while I go look it up, why don't you tell me what you thought about this season, Jaden? I know you didn't watch every episode, but I know you did watch some. What did you think of this season? And
well, I'm going to focus on the last one because I did watch the last one, but I watched the last one on the aspect of this is what, the model, what I think they're going for, or what if they're going to go for on an actual television network. If the CW thing is a real thing and they get on CW, watching this show in the eyes of somebody in television to see if it's something that could be on CW, and I'm going to 100% say no. If you want, I'll wait till we go over everything that I've seen and go over why. But I don't think the general presentation with the audience being behind is a good thing for television. I don't think it's a good thing for internet television either, but I definitely don't think it's a good thing for actual, broadcast television. And there's other things too that I think really need to be changed. I'm not even sure, honestly, if a studio format is right for what they're trying to do on major television, because I don't think they have the aspect to do it correctly. So I think, maybe moving to an actual arena where things are on 3 or 4 sides would be really useful for them.
Yeah.
As you smile at something you figured out.
No, I saw something in the chat, and if it's okay for me to share real quick, Tyrus has no limits is Tyrus's appetite. Sorry, it made me laugh.
Same thing for the gravity that circles around him. No limits is when he steps on the scale. That's what happens.
The spins. So you feel like it's not a made-for-TV show yet? You feel like there's
a lot of work. It's improvement to what it was, but now that it's going to be something different, I don't think this works. At least not the way they're currently doing it. Even going back to the original broadcast and the original tapings, I don't think that. I love the studio idea, and it can be done. I don't think they have what it takes to do so, and part of it is actually the audience that comes to the event. But I'll go over that again if you want when we talk about the entire show, if we ever do. I don't even know. What are we doing today?
We're doing the pay-per-view predictions, and then some other things like we'll get to it in just a minute. I do want to finish the thought, though. I actually thought this was a huge step forward for the NWA. I feel like B- is a fair grade. Noob also agreed. He said a B-. Luthez, same thing, B-, up from the usual D+, C-. Plenty of room for improvement. And I really feel like a B- isn't a bad score for what they were to what they are. I feel like this season, I feel like they did a better job of having undercard storylines that they built. Like, they didn't just say, okay, we're going to put Markova with Taylor as a tag team to challenge for the tag titles. They actually kind of told a story where Taylor challenged Max, and it was Markova who came to the rescue to save the younger talent, and then formed a bond where they won the number 1 contenders for the tag titles. I felt like they did it. They progressed the story, whereas in previous years we would have just had them in a number 1 contenders match with no explanation why they're even working together. So I felt like they did do that a little bit better. I felt like they built some of the storylines better this year than they had in previous seasons. But I agree. I don't think it's an A+ show yet. I feel like it's made some huge steps in the right direction, but I still feel like there's some room to grow.
I have a quick question for Jaden.
Okay.
So are you thinking more setup like ROH had? Because ROH, a lot of their shows on TV, at least, they only drew 250, 300 people. And so, but it looked better because of how it was situated.
Yeah. You can I know this is sound weird, but it's better often for a entertainment entity to sell out a 400-seat arena than sell 600 people in a 1,000-seat arena. Especially when it comes to something where their presentation, aesthetics matter when it comes to television, perception matters when it comes to television, angles, lighting, things that you don't really put a lot of attention to when it comes to professional wrestling matter a lot more when it comes to a television production. One of the main problems with a lot of TV productions is they look too fake. when it comes to something that's like in pro wrestling's a lot of it. That was always my criticism to championship wrestling from Florida, is it looked like a Hollywood production of what a wrestling company with a Hollywood office thought, a Hollywood studio thought a wrestling production should be, not a wrestling production. It never felt like a sport. And that's one of my things right now with the way the OVW is being shot. I like the product and somewhat, but it feels like a Hollywood production rendition, something you would see on like Family Matters or something on TGIF or one of the sitcoms or television, something that has to do with wrestling. It just feels produced and not in a great way. And that's something you have to over care about, but you need to have like a good look on camera still. It's a very difficult line for realism to also aesthetics. I mean, say what you will about Lucha Underground, and it wasn't like the greatest thing in the world, and it's the birth, I think, a lot of these stupid things that happen in modern wrestling nowadays. But that grungy looking building that they were in had something. It made it feel a little bit more raw and gritty and something like that. And I think I'd like that. I mean, I don't want that necessarily for the NWA, but it had a unique feel that didn't feel like it was just a bunch of stunt actors pretending to be pro wrestlers.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head, because what Lucha Underground did, good, bad, or indifferent, is they were not the normal wrestling promotion. And, they put it in a gritty building down in Baldwin Park. It wasn't a nice studio. I went to the show twice. I was in the building twice, and it was very much just a warehouse, and that building has been in TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff. It's kind of ironic, but yeah, it was different, and I felt like that's what made it unique. That's what made it step out. But the NWA shouldn't be in that same venue. That wouldn't make any sense. But if there was like another wrestling promotion trying to be like an underground fight club, of course, that's the place to be. Real quick, some more of the comments in the chat. Noob said that he thinks that they should feature stars and tell the stories of how those stars get back to where they want to be, like Natalia Markova getting back to the Burke. Now that Kenzie Page is an easier target than Camille. Let's see. Willie Bowen wants Markova to be women's champion. Luthez said a gold tank on a pole match is confirmed because of our No Limit Soldier talk. James H. Jackson says people want an easy to watch hour-long weekly show that you can draw on people who are not so-called sophisticated smart marks, people who left watching for whatever reasons, who don't want long 3-hour Raws. Do you feel like that might be part of their plan, DK, is to have a very easy to watch show that's different than, say, like a 3-hour Raw or a 2-hour Collision?
I mean, really, I'm clueless, because I have no idea sometimes what Billy has in his mind. But based on some of the realism here, this is very important to what Jaden was saying. Wrestling is a sports drama. Okay? So let's say it like that. Wrestling is a sports drama. Okay, so now we know what it is, a sports drama. But one of the ways you make it look sporty is that you don't make it look like this could be on an episode of name any TV show. And so you want it to be different. You want it to look like it's an actual sports thing. And if wrestling's missing anything right now, wrestling is missing a sports-based product, or that is what their niche is. We talked last week about MLW. MLW is all over the place.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there are fans that argue that AEW is more sports-based to the sports entertainment WWE.
It's worse sports entertainment. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, I mean, if you think that AEW is the sports-based wrestling, you're on crack. And not even the good crack.
Got that blue stuff.
You're on that, bought it from the homeless guy on the corner, crack.
Where do you get your crack, DK?
Huh?
Where do you get your crack?
The guy you told me about.
I told you he cut you a deal.
Anyway,
he makes great Christmas crack.
Let's stop talking about drugs because I don't want to get demonetized.
Oh no! I'm talking about the pretzels with the chocolate and the salt and stuff on it. Christmas crack. It's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't like this. I don't like the ones with the candy canes. I prefer the ones with the chocolate and the melted peanut butter.
Chocolate. So, but anyway, back to what we were talking about. So, yeah, I mean, if you want a sports feel, and that's why you need the audience. So that's the biggest thing I'm going to harp on is the crowd tells you how you're supposed to be feeling. If the crowd's sitting there on their hands, but if the crowd's cheering and booing and happy and excited, not in a fake way, but in a true, you can tell the difference in the energy levels, then that's what you want to see. So give me some. I would hope they're looking for a sports-based presentation that has an excited audience, not a fake audience.
Yeah, that's I think right now the main problem with the NWA is their audience feels like they're part of the production, not actually enjoying the wrestling action. They just don't react naturally. It's very artificial feeling, and a lot of wrestling audiences, especially for like these smaller promotions, get that way. You just don't get that real natural energy. You get this whole let's disrupt the show by making some I almost cursed, some stupid mask guy as part of the show. Let's make this thing that's really stupid over just because we can, or let's react unnaturally because we think we have to. Too many people clap because they think it's cool and it's what they're supposed to be doing instead of reacting naturally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it reminds me of the stupid people who clap when the plane lands.
Hey, I've never done that.
I am glad. I throw you out.
Real quick, to go circle back to those No Limit Soldiers, besides Conan and Rey Mysterio, it was also 4x4. As Jaden said, Brad Armstrong, BA. It was Swole and Chase, as in Chase Tatum. That's who I was thinking of.
An actor?
I don't know who he is. I thought he was a wrestler, wasn't he? No?
I just recently found out that what was his name? Terry Crews. Terry Crews was in that WMAC martial arts show or something like that. Terry Crews was in some kind of like American Glad.
It wasn't the WMAC fighters, but it was the show that was, like you said, it's American Gladiators, and they had a crossover with WCW. And I guess before WCW got sold, the plan was that they were going to do a mixed pay-per-view where those guys, like the Power Dome or something like that.
That would have been different.
I mean, that would have been a great way to get more eyeballs on the product and at least have people talk about it. I don't know if it'd been a good wrestling, but I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, some people don't believe this, but not all controversy is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't always create cash. Sometimes it creates cash problems.
Negative cash.
If I had to, though, and I actually want Dave Scooby's opinion on what I'm saying, because I think I'd like to see what he thinks on what I'm about to say on this. I liked when I watched the OVW documentary, and even though I don't like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and all the stuff that's going on, I think that the NWA's television program should be a hybrid and shot on film, not on camera, not on like video camera, shot on film and done like a hybrid of the 10 pounds of gold and the boxing HBO specials they used to have for the big fights. Go back and watch how great they were. I didn't care. I didn't. I mean, I knew Mayweather and I knew some of the people who was fighting, but anybody that was on that thing, I instantly cared about that fight, the way they built that up. So use it to build up like 1 or 2 matches per every NWA thing. Have like that story and everything, and then build it up to a match, and then do the same thing for like the main event. And I think that would be great because there's nothing like that. If you can really capture that energy of that HBO specials they used to have for the fights, for their big pay-per-view fights and stuff like that. Again, if you can go back and watch it, it's brilliant television, and it really, really tells a story and really, really makes you excited to see the fight. But this time you can get instant gratification by having it built up and then have the match, and then have another one built up and have the match, or maybe you have them both interspliced between the two, and then 2 matches at the end, the whole thing. But it'd be something different, and it'll really bring in that sport feel. What do you think, Dave Scooby?
Well, I mean, you guys were talking about it being a TV show. It is a TV show, but rather than having a TV show about wrestling, have wrestling be on TV.
Yeah.
Or like you said, have more of a raw, gritty feel to it, like they had back in Lucha Underground. And I mean, it's one of these things, no matter who your crowd is, I get taken out when they don't show the crowd. Or if you're watching AEW or WWE and you hear people responding, but then they flash to the crowd and they're not doing anything. That they're either piping noise in, or they're making it fake, or they're trying to get somebody booed or cheered. It's one of these things that wrestling has become not a scripted TV show, but a TV show that isn't about wrestling. They need to make wrestling into a TV show that is as raw as they can get without it becoming like a sitcom. The only thing that I can really say about having it be a TV show is like Friends. You know that Friends, it would either take place at the coffee shop or in one of the apartments. That, you know, if you're going to watch NWA Power, it's going to be in the Power Studios, or if they're not going to go for studio wrestling, that it's going to be in a certain specific type of wrestling arena. And wherever they tape, it should be at least 75% of the same setup, the same entryway, where the podium is, where the video screen is, how things are set up. Make it as familiar as you can, because when you watch it, you don't want to be thrown off by seeing something that you're not used to.
Willie Bowen wasn't a fan of Friends, I guess.
I agree with you, Willie. I'd rather watch Tyrus eat at the Old Country Buffet than watch Friends.
I don't want either of those on my TV. James,
I think that'll be great. It'll be like watch when they feed the big hippos. I think that's always entertaining.
No, but I mean, there is something to that. I think you look at, the show Cheers. It was about a bar.
No,
where did 98% of Cheers take place?
No, and I don't disagree with that at all. I think 100%. It's a shame that the NWA hasn't figured out like a permanent home where they could film their wrestling matches. I mean, like, for many, many years, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood filmed in Port Hueneme, California. Good, bad, or indifferent, that was the backdrop of the show. You were very accustomed to seeing it. The fans were on camera, like the hard cam faced the fans, so you saw their interaction, both good and bad. And that was their home for many years until recently. That they've been at the comedy club, and it's a different setup, but still they make sure that those fans are very much a part of the scenery. And I agree with you guys that the NWA should definitely feature the audience while it's showing it, but like one specific spot, if they could have a studio that was their own, or at least a setup that was constantly filming this in a similar fashion. Now, James H. Jackson said, to what Jane was saying, that's what Nick Aldis said that the NWA needed to be like the HBO boxing of wrestling. That was Nick Aldis. We'll go ahead and say the name Dave Lagana. We'll also say Billy Corgan and Dave Marquez. I mean, let's not be glib. That wasn't just a Nick Aldis idea, but Luthez also wanted to point that out. And it worked. That's what got the buzz for the NWA long before there was a Power, long before there was even the All In. They had that 10 Pounds of Gold series. That was the only source of content that the NWA was producing before they ever had a pay-per-view.
Hey, question for you guys. Since we're bringing up HBO and boxing and all that.
And no more boxing on Showtime real quick, and that makes me sad. Go ahead.
Well, that's where it's going. Not just no more boxing on Showtime. They're dropping all their sports. Where would Jay go? Bum. Showtime's dropping all their sports. And so, and even looking at something like they were supposedly one of the groups that was first interested in AEW when they were with before they went to Turner. Supposedly it was, Time Warner and Showtime. I don't know who owns Showtime anymore in this big conglomerate of stuff. But they were the ones that were looking at it. But now they've gotten rid of sports. Most local sports networks have gone by the wayside. And so are we in a situation now where there are fewer places, to put your sports and your sports-based thing? Because we all know that anywhere WWE goes, they're going to get exclusive rights to not just the channel they're on, but every channel that's owned by that place. And probably the same with AEW. So, Mr. Scooby down there, are we starting to run out of places where we can even put shows?
I hope not. And I mean, with all the streaming and all the apps, I'm hoping that, like, if NWA is indeed going to CW, that they actually work on putting them in as best of a time that you can. And if Women of Wrestling is still with CW, try to do a block, put them in the same time block if you can, where you can basically bounce off of each other. That if there's NWA fans that haven't seen WOW, or WOW fans that haven't seen NWA, and then they're talking about the NWA reality show. Okay, I mean, if it gets NWA on TV more, that's fine. But I'm more of the like Wizard of Oz. I don't want to see what's behind the curtain. I know what's back there, but I just don't want to see it. Just like people that love food. Okay, if you love steak, it's great, but you really don't want to know how you got that steak.
Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. Even CW, again, we've talked about this. What kind of deal are we talking about? Are we talking about just in prime time, just outside of prime time, 3 a.m? Are we talking about a network show, or are we talking about a show going to the, syndicated to the CW stations? There are a lot of things going on here. So, I mean, Jaden, what would your reaction be if it was 3 a.m, Saturday into Sunday?
That wouldn't be a CW show then. That means it was just maybe being produced by CW and they're selling it to the networks and they can put it on whatever they want. If it was an actual CW show, a lot of these networks, the FCC only lets you own so many networks, and everything else is independent, and they decide to work with the network. It's kind of like the NWA of television, and that's how TV works. So if it's a true network show, there's only certain times that they're providing content for. Usually they'll provide the news, which is either like 7 or 6 or 10 or 11 or something like that. They'll provide so many hours, usually not between 8 and 11, and then sometimes on Saturday they could provide certain hours, which was usually where the sports programming was. If it's on prime time, that's when the most viewership still is to this day. So that would be the best for the NWA. If they put it Saturday morning between 12 and 2, I kind of find it cool just because that's when I used to watch all my wrestling. But I don't think it's going to grab the audience it needs to do in that particular time slot unless they're gearing more for a younger audience. And honestly, the NWA product's not geared for any audience, let alone a younger audience.
Yeah.
I think what would be really cool, and I know it kind of breaks what Jaden was saying, but if they were able to somehow maintain that 6:05 time slot or 6 o'clock time slot, I guess, 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 6 o'clock on the West Coast, and just, let it go. I know the last time I watched regular network TV at 6 o'clock, you usually had the local news or some sort of TV show that was being syndicated. But I think it'd be kind of cool if on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock, turn on CW and there it is. Even if it's out of that primetime slot, the fact that it's there and available. And of course, if it is CW, which that hasn't been confirmed yet, but if it is CW, all their content's available for free for streaming on the CW website. And you don't have to it's not behind a pay window. You could just log in and watch it.
Exactly. I like what that dog said. You know what? I wish I would have said that. But yeah, and that's true for a limited way. There's a lot of long commercial breaks. Sometimes I feel like those commercial breaks on the CW app are longer than the ones on actual network television. I used to be big into the Arrowverse, but I never got to watch it live. So I would always watch it on the CW app. And God, some of those commercials were horrible, and they took forever. And technically not exactly, but you're also correct, but you're not. UPN and Warner Brothers merged. Some of the CW stations are actually the former Warner Brothers stations, while some are the former UPN stations. Well, it's also, people don't realize, like around here, the CW stations, the former, I believe it's the former Warner Brothers station. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know like it all depends, like whatever had the higher power station in the market when they merged and everything like that.
In my market, the UPN and CW merged, or excuse me, UPN and WB merged onto the CW network, which was the WB. And then the old UPN network became my local TV or whatever that is, my TV.
Me TV, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even still, at one point, UPN had SmackDown, then CW had SmackDown briefly. So this would be somewhat of a return to bringing pro wrestling back to that brand. But again, for everything we've heard, not once has Billy confirmed that it's CW, nor have we heard anything from CW confirming that it's CW. And I know for a fact, and I'm not speaking out of turn, that there were multiple wrestling promotions vying for a spot on the CW. So it's not a slam dunk done deal until it's announced by either an executive from the CW or an executive from the NWA. I won't hold my breath until that happens.
I have a little bit of an outlook on this
Sure.
Based on actually people I know that work on television. Went to school with somebody who works for the television stations. And one of the things, is the CW, Paramount's looking to get out of its ownership into the CW.
I think they already did. They still own like 12%, I think.
Yeah, but they also no longer want to be able to provide content for it. That's why we used to see Dynasty and Archie, what was it, the what's that called, the Riverdale, and all those other Walker, Texas Ranger, and stuff. A lot of those CBS properties used to see on there because they were providing program, and then Warner Brothers, ironically, was providing some of the other program, which is why you saw all the Arrowverse shows and stuff like that. And while Superman, Lois, what is it? Not Lois and Clark, but the Superman and Lois. Yeah, which is a very good show, by the way. You should try to give it a shot, please. At least it was the first 2 seasons, like first couple seasons. But that probably will be the last Warner produced television product on this network if things are going forward. They're not, most likely won't be. I mean, again, Warner Brothers. Here's the problem: Warner Brothers and Paramount always have been content providers. They were never networks on their own like that. I mean, yes, they did for CBS and stuff, but they are actually, and they were actually better off syndicating and selling and creating shows to sell off to other networks. That's why Netflix forever had so many of those type of programming.
Hey, Jaden.
Now that
Jaden,
yeah,
did you switch to a tin can?
Why is it really weird like that?
It's very tinny.
All right, I'll come back out and come back in. I don't know why. It's probably just a network connection. I'll come right back.
Okay, we'll see you in a second. Before we spend a whole lot more, Jaden is Optimus Prime. Before we spend too much more time talking about the TV deal, oh, I didn't mean to click on that. I don't know what the Telecom Act is, Matthew. You'll have to smarten me up later. We'll bring Jaden back on so he can finish his thought.
But yeah, like I was saying, a lot of those programs now, the CW is going to be really having to produce their own programming. They're not even going to produce. They have to start even producing their own news programming right now because I think it was CBS that was providing that for a long way. And there's some stations that CBS owns that won't be showing the CW at all anymore. They're going to find their alternate programming. They won't be associated with the CW at all.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of stations out there. The CW is actually becoming a weaker network because of it, and it's like not like a make or break. It's not like half the stations are leaving, but there are some stations that are not even going to be it. So yeah, the CW is going to be trying to find cheap programming that's going to be easy to produce. So they're going to be like he just said, there's a lot of sports. You're going to get a lot more sports programming and a lot of things that are easier to produce, and that's why the NWA or wrestling itself is even of interest. Add to the fact, I've been pretty much told that they're not really interested as much in the NWA as they are Billy Corgan. So what they're buying is not necessarily the NWA product. What they're buying is an association with Billy Corgan because they think he's a property that could be beneficial to their continued success. There's also rumors that they're going to start doing concerts too, live music and other things like that, as again another cheaper way of programming. And that will, I think, their association with Billy Corgan is probably like the first in a way to get into that stuff. Just hopefully they don't go into reality TV.
Well, I mean, reality TV, I think, is definitely going to rear its ugly head again. That's what happened the last time that there was an extended writer's strike and actor strike. But moving a little bit in a different direction, there has been a lot of names announced for the television tapings that are going to be happening on November 4th after the pay-per-view back at Skyline Studios, excuse me, and scheduled to appear. Some of the names that are new to me, at least new to Power, that we haven't previously seen, would be Charity King, Danny B, Mo Jabari.
I've seen Mo. He's actually interesting. He might be something to keep an eye out.
I think he's big in St. Louis. I wish Fuzz was in the chat because he might know a little bit more about him.
I changed my name.
Spencer Slade.
Here's another guy I will put over. He is an amateur wrestler. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Ray Jazz. So you know how much I'm a fan of Ray Jazz in the ring and everything. So I think that Spencer Slade is zirconium in a rough because I'm going to steal Dr. Z's line. I think he's something that, if done right, the NWA could really get a lot out of, because he's also like, imagine Ray Jazz and Charlie Haas. That's what he kind of is, like a hybrid of.
The other team, or the other two names, the Heat Seekers, former NWA World Tag Team Champions.
I
We've
like
seen them
them.
on pay-per-views, but I don't think we've seen them on an episode of Power yet. And then Silas Mason's old running buddy, Devin Dixon. They used to team together as the Mason-Dixon line. He's also scheduled to be at the television tapings. And as I show you those names, of course, all the regulars are scheduled to be there. Blunt Force Trauma, Blake Troop, Chris Silvio, Colby Carino, the Country Gentleman, EC3, the Max the Impaler, Jack Stain, Joe Alonzo, Camille, Kenzie Page, Pretty Empower, Koa Laksamana, Magic Inc., Mims, Misa Kate, Natalia Markova, Rolando Freeman, Ruthie J, Samantha Starr, the Southern Six, Talos and Daisy Kills, Taylor Rising, the Outrunners, Tom Latimer, Trevor Murdoch. A couple names that are missing from that list is Mike Knox, and also main character Maddie Renkowski isn't on that list. Does that concern anybody here, or do you think that maybe Knox and or Maddie won't be at this round of TV taping? Scoob, what do you think?
Not really sure. I'm really surprised with Knox not being there. Maddie, I know she had a tryout with WWE, and she's sort of been put to the side. There's really been no mention of her in the past few weeks. So either she's possibly moving on, or at least out of rotation for this set of tapings. But I'm really surprised that Mike Knox isn't there. But it's always one of these things of card subject to change. And if Murdoch and Knox end up winning the tag belts, it'd be strange in my eyes that one of your champions wouldn't be there. But who knows?
What about you, Jaden? You were about to say something before I cut you off. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm Knox more than Renkowski. Maddie was a good hand, but I don't think she was make or break for the NWA.
Sure.
Knox, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I wasn't a fan when he first got there, but he's really grown on me with the tag team with Murdoch. And
what's their name again?
I think Knox has really grown on me with the team with Murdoch, the Murdoch's team.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yeah. And I was hoping maybe they were coming out with gold, but it doesn't. By not having his name there, it makes me wonder if the Blood Force Trauma are going to retain.
And real quick, Scott B says, Mike Knox is a weird omission. I can't imagine he's going anywhere. Tim says that he's definitely going to miss Maddie. Matthew Underwood said, is Brady Pierce scheduled to be there? He wasn't on the short list, but neither was Rush Freeman. So maybe they're holding that until they know for certain. And then Scott B also said a lot of new faces, but we'll see what happens with any of them. Devin Dixon could be interesting. I see a lot of potential there.
Maybe Devin Dixon can start his own faction in the Northern 11 and only have 5 members.
DKM, of all the names that were listed there on the new to Power, is there anyone that stands out to you? Anyone that looks like they could be a difference maker?
The only one that I'm interested in is Dixon, because I'd like to see if they play on his history with the
Southern Six.
Mason. Mason in particular. So, is he coming in? Is he coming in as a friend or foe, or are they going to ignore it? So that's what I'm interested in seeing.
Okay.
Sweet.
That's an interesting point. He was a tag team with Silas Mason. Maybe they're, I see lots of folks from the South joining the roster. Maybe they're going to fill out the Southern Six. Maybe it will be 6 members at the end of these TV tapings.
He makes a really good cider. Dixon. He makes a really good cider.
No.
That Dixon cider is so
Hey.
good. What? It's
That's
a
like
good
the
cider.
alpaca. That's like the Alpaca Fudge Company. All right, fine.
Okay.
Just leave.
Where are we going to talk about the pay-per-view?
Yeah, well, I just want to talk about some of the talents. I mean, the Carnies are going to be there, and although I really enjoy the Carnies, I'm not sure if they're going to be a team that's really elevated. You know, I'm afraid that they might be kind of pigeonholed into that whole Outrunners get up. I mean, look, one thing that you can say is there's an addition of 3 tag teams. You know, at least 2 tag teams, the Carnies and the Heat Seekers, added to the Outrunners, Magic Inc. You're really starting to round out that U.S. tag team division. And then, you know, who knows what happens after the pay-per-view, whether it's going to be Murnoch's as the new tag champions, or if Blunt Force Trauma retains them. Then you have the Brothers of Construction. You've got Odinson and I guess Odinson and
Kratos
are challenging for the U.S. tag titles, but they're still in play. And then there's a lot more tag teams than there were maybe a year ago. So I'm feeling optimistic about at least we're going to get some fresh matchups. And you know, and notice how I didn't even mention La Rebellion or the Fixers. The tag teams are certainly growing in the NWA.
I picture Billy Corgan hiding behind a tree in a yellow suit, making a face about breaking him up.
Okay,
right.
well, then the next step, the next part of the show is we are going to talk about this pay-per-view that's coming up. It is Saturday. It is available on Fight. Have you guys all ordered it yet? You all excited about watching it? Scooby, Are you going?
Yep.
Scooby's going to be there live, so we'll have some representation there.
Bring a sign.
He'll be wearing the hat.
Make some Scooby snacks.
Oh, yeah.
But let's talk about the pay-per-view. Obviously, this is the October offering. This is a pay-per-view that I've heard everyone else say it, and I kind of agree. I'm not excited about it. And, you know, I will admit that over the course of the last few years, I think there's only really been maybe 2 stinkers of pay-per-views, 2 pay-per-views that I did not enjoy, Back for the Attack and 312. But the rest of the pay-per-views, at the very least, were entertaining to me, worth my investment of the $20 for the pay-per-view or whatever the price is. And, you know, this pay-per-view does have some, you know, at least some things that are, you know, some questions to be answered. First and foremost is, let's take a survey. Matt Cardona makes his way back to the NWA after his 75th anniversary show. They don't ever schedule a storyline for Matt Cardona because he's not really a regular roster member, but he is supposed to be facing somebody at the pay-per-view. At the last pay-per-view, he faced Ricky Morton, and then the next night, Kerry Morton. Jaden, any guesses on who's going to step up to face Matt Cardona at Samhain?
I don't know why, but I want what was his name? The guy that had kids.
Heath Slater?
Yeah, I want Heath Slater. I don't know why.
You want Heath Slater in the NWA, or you want him to show up to be the opponent?
I want him to show up to be Cardona's opponent. I don't know why.
I'm not saying this is any kind of spoiler, but we do know that Heath Slater is set to be a part of the December 1st Exodus Pro Wrestling event. That's going to be happening out in Cleveland, Ohio. So, I mean, maybe that's not a far-off guess, Jaden.
He's got kids. He needs money.
He's got kids. You're right. Scoob, who do you think is going to be the mystery person to fill in to fight the former world's heavyweight champion?
Not really sure, but I mean, if they're saying this is the most violent pay-per-view that the NWA has had, Cardona is the self-proclaimed deathmatch king. If he comes out with the crown, I'd love to see Homicide come out and do the Homicide of old and just it be as close to a bloodbath in a no blood state.
That's actually a great thought. Not one that even crossed my mind, but you know, he doesn't have a match for the pay-per-view. He did have a very intense match with Joe Alonzo that we saw at the 75th anniversary show. Really only saw him in that one match during the season of Power. I actually really like that guest scoop. That's a real good one. DKM, can you top Homicide for the opponent?
No.
No guesses at all?
I mean, Homicide would be the best option. We're talking about somebody who's taken on Rolando and then taken on Ricky Morton to set up another match with Kerry.
And
I mean, I don't have high hopes.
So, okay. If we're going to go with somebody on the roster, because he doesn't have a match right now, my hopes would be Jay Bradley. And the only reason why I like Jay Bradley in that role is because I feel like it's time to elevate him and, to a lesser extent, Wrecking Ball Legursky, and let them have some single matches. I feel like both right now, I don't feel like their fixers are going to do any good in the tag team division, especially now that it's a lot more crowded. I don't see them beating, I guess they could beat Talos and Daisy Kills, but I don't see them really being a threat to Blunt Force Trauma or Murdoch, whoever walks away as the World Tag Team Champions. But Jay Bradley could certainly do some damage, maybe even as a TV champion, and especially if he has Wrecking Ball as his sidekick and, kind of helping him get through some of the tougher matches. I think that would be a lot of fun. So my pick is going to be Jay Bradley to take on Matt Cardona. And I think that would be a good way to kind of position Jay Bradley as a face in a company where there's not a lot of faces at this point. Up next, we have, I know there's some pre-show matches, so we'll just go with like the Scion and the Outrunners versus Jordan Clearwater and the Country Gentlemen. We'll start with you first, Dave Scooby. What's your thought on this one?
Well, I mean, I look at it as Zion needs to be pushed a little. The Outrunners, possibly, but I'd rather see the Outrunners team up with Ziggy Dice and be the Outlandish Runners.
I heard you guys say that yesterday. That's great. I like that.
They end up doing like the Southern Six, a 3-man tag or a 3-man group. But I mean, Jordan needs to be built up, and the Country Gentlemen need to be built up as well. So I'd like to see them get the win, but underhandedly. Even though they may be playing the good guys, they can still do some behind the back sneaky kind of win, especially since Jordan has been somewhat paired with EC3 as his
overboy.
His overboy. Okay. The overman and the overboy. Okay. But yeah, I'd go with Jordan and the Country Gents for the win.
DK, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a match in which I have absolutely positively no interest whatsoever.
A few of them on here like that for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's going to win, and I can't say as I'm actually going to care either.
Jaden, your guess, your thoughts, your opinion?
I care less than DK.
Wow.
So I pick, I don't know. I remember the name the Country Gentleman being in there, so that's why I'll pick that because that's the only team I can remember.
Oh, jeez. I'm gonna go Zion and the Outrunners. I feel like they need a victory at this point more than Clearwater and the Gents, and I feel like Jordan Clearwater is kind of going through this metamorphosis where he is becoming EC3's right hand man, if you will, and the Country Gents, they're kind of starting over. They dropped the dead weight, and now it's a Joe Kazana production, really. So I feel like this will be a good way to kind of, all right, they take the loss and then you kind of rebuild them on the next season of Power.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it hurts them in the long run because it's a throwaway match, like you all said. Next up, it's this is the tag team hardcore war match, and this is for the freedom for Sal the Pal and Gags the Gimp if they win. Basically, if they win, Sinister Minister will tell them he likes them or something like that. I don't know what the actual stipulation is, but if they lose, they're back in indentured servitude to the Sinister Minister. And this one is even more random than the last one because you have Sal the Pal teaming with Gags the Gimp, Ko'oa Laksamana, and Dak Draper, the Magnum Muscle, taking on Judas, Max the Impaler, a new face, Alex Misery, somebody we haven't seen before, and Magic Inc., which is Jake Dumas and Cody James, and they're calling it, I guess, the Devil's Last Dance Team War. We'll go to you. Well, DK left. We'll go to you, Jaden, because I know you don't really care much about this one.
If anything with Magic Jake, I was watching him on this thing, and he's an absolute abortion. Just a waste of everything. He doesn't look good. Nothing about him shouts Major League Television. It shouts 3:00 in the morning public access garbage. There is nothing at all appealing or anything in that. I honestly, I don't care. I kind of hope they all get anthrax. That's about as much as I can say.
That's a bit rough, bro. I'm gonna go to you, Scoob. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm just tired of the storyline. Sal's team needs to win so they can get away from Father Mitchell and just start anew. It's just like, hey, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Let's just grab a whole bunch of people and throw them together and put them out there so they can be on TV. Granted, it's a match. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, who cares? I just want this storyline to be done with.
I think this match will have some incredible moments that no one is expecting because each one of these guys really has to prove something. There's a reason why they're on the pre-show. And again, with the way that the whole thing is set up, it's like, you took the TV champion, Max the Impaler, off the program. You have Mims off the program. And in this match, so that they're not doing the title defenses, we might see this match lay the foundation for feuds going forward. Obviously, Max the Impaler probably won't be feuding with anyone after this match, but maybe it'll set up something for Judas. Maybe it'll set up, a feud maybe between Dak Draper and Mims. That's something that I think might be in the works because Dak has kind of taken on more of a heelish role since Mims has been in that TV title tournament, and they could set up maybe matches for them on this next season of Power.
Yeah.
I like Dak. All the rest, only thing the rest prove is why the morning after pill needs to be used more often.
Yeah. Nice. Obviously, we'll skip DK on this one because he's not here. The next match, I think, I'm just guessing on what's going to happen here next, but the next match, I guess, will be the women's number one contenders match for the world title. That's going to feature Samantha Starr, Tiffany Nieves, Celeste, and Misa Kate. Now, Tiffany Nieves, for those of you who don't know, is currently the Ohio Valley Women's World Champion, and she's also the Mission Pro Women's World Champion, and she has recently made appearances for Exodus Pro, as well as Celeste, who I think has been part of the NWA family for a while, but has only had maybe one or two matches under the NWA banner. And of course, we all know Misa Kate is a former tag team champion, and Samantha Starr is a third generation or maybe even fourth generation wrestler in the NWA. We'll go to you first, Dave Scooby. Who do you like in this one?
Well, them bringing in Tiffany, her being with Exodus Pro and also OVW and Mission Pro. I think if they're going to have titles defended in Exodus Pro, it'd be great to have her up there and have her go against whoever the women's champion is. I'm assuming it will still be Kenzie, but work in this new talent as you can. It doesn't mean they have to be featured all the time, but if they're seen on other programming besides NWA, they may get some eyeballs over to the NWA once they start being shown on network television or even still on YouTube. So I'm going with Tiffany for the win on that one.
DK, can you turn the crown sideways and go with a Notorious B.I.G. look?
No, don't do it. It's
not
no,
your head.
Obviously, DK doesn't have an idea about the Notorious B.I.G. But DK, do you have a vote, a pick who you think is going to win the four-way for the number one contender shot at the women's title? Celeste, Tiffany Nieves, Misa Kate, or Samantha Starr?
Samantha Starr.
Okay. Jaden, how about you? Any thoughts on this one?
I thought it was Tiffany Knives.
Maybe I'm mispronouncing it.
Maybe. I don't remember now. I've seen her on OVW, and I swore they said something closer to that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nieves, Nieves. I mean, it's a Spanish last name.
Well, DK, how do you pronounce it?
I don't know. I mean, it's the whole joke, right? I don't pronounce the Spanish names right. Don't ruin my gimmick.
Don't kill the gimmick.
But I want Tiffany to win.
All right. I think I kind of agree with you that obviously what she's already accomplished outside of the NWA, that would bring some notoriety to a match with Kenzie if it's set up for the next pay-per-view, perhaps maybe Hard Times 4. That would be an excellent match where you have two, well-recognized champions going up against each other. But also, I kind of like DK's thought about Samantha Starr. She doesn't really get a lot of opportunity to shine in the NWA. Her winning a matchup like this could put her in the main event. I think that'd be kind of cool too. So I like both of those.
That's how I feel when they bring somebody in and then just immediately insert them in the world title picture.
Yeah, well, and this is one of those matches where, like, I do kind of I heard someone else echo the statement too. It's like, what did any of these women do to qualify for a world title match? If anything, maybe a TV title match. But Celeste isn't a known commodity on Power. No offense, but we haven't seen you do anything on Power of note. Tiffany Nieves is not even someone who's been on a branded NWA show yet. So both those talents really don't make a whole lot of sense. And then, of course, Samantha Starr, Misa Kate. Misa Kate's former tag team champion. Was 2-time?
No, just once.
Just once. Okay. But even that, I mean, that's a tag team accomplishment, not a single.
Decent reign, too.
Yeah. But, I guess that's where, that's the one match that I kind of have a problem with. I don't see it like, why are they getting in an instant title shot? I don't think that's the right way to book it. But I digress. We move on to the next match, which I think will be a loser leaves the NWA match. Rush Freeman takes on Brady Pierce with special referee Rolando Freeman. DK, I know you're the resident Rolando Freeman fan here. Who do you think walks away the winner, Rush or Brady?
Can I pin Rolando?
No.
Okay, wait a minute. What's the match again?
Loser leaves town. Brady Pierce versus Rush Freeman with special referee Rolando.
I think it depends.
All right.
On some unknowns.
Okay.
One of those unknowns is there has been expressed interest in Brady Pierce, and I don't know that he's under contract. And there's been expressed interest by other promotions in him. So if Yeah, that's just one place. But, you know, a lot of guys go to tryouts and you hear, hey, they were at a tryout. Yeah, Miranda Gordy's, I think, has been to 2 of them. You know,
It means they raised their booking fee. That's all it means.
yeah. I mean, really, that's about it. Most people who go to tryouts don't get in.
I think it's slightly more important than working AEW Dark.
Yeah, and so, but I have heard his name being bandied about. Maybe partly because of the Iron Claw movie that's coming out or whatever. But if there's interest somewhere else for him, then I would say he's going to lose because that'll give him the out to leave the NWA. Otherwise, it's going to be otherwise Rush is the one that makes sense, and probably some kind of screw job or Rolando turns on him. I don't know. The shame is that Rolando's not going to be the one. And, you know, I don't want to get into the big discussion right now, so we'll save this for next time. But just for, you know, again, if you're going to be on a show like, you know, CW and out there and putting television, I mean, Rolando Freeman really somebody you want on your thing?
There's nobody listed yet on the pre-show except maybe some of the women. None of the men listed on the pre-show are television valuable.
Scoop, who do you see winning this loser leaves town match?
As much as I hate to say, Rush, being that Brady is possibly doing some media for the Iron Claw movie, as well as he is or at least that I know of, he was the Wildcat champion for Luke Hawx. And it may be one of those things of go away for a while, and if there's interest, bring him back. Or if there's interest in other organizations picking him up, that's fine. But if they're not doing anything with him in the NWA, I'd rather him go away, even though the Iron Claw movie may put a little spotlight on him, but he's not really one of the more important characters. He's more of a background character, but still, publicity is publicity. But I see Rush winning it, and I'm hoping it either starts something new for Rush, and hopefully Rolando goes away with Brady.
Real quick.
Nothing against him, more power to him on doing his own thing. But like you guys said, I mean, if you're getting ready for TV, Rolando is not somebody I want to see on a TV show.
Maybe being shot out of a cannon.
Well, yeah.
Maybe to start the show each week, they just shoot him out of a cannon. Not the same footage, but each week a new cannon and a new Rolando being shot out of it.
Into a volcano.
Noob, I want to correct you, sir. No, there's no relation to Brady Pierce and Scrap Iron Adam Pierce. Even the spelling is incorrect on Brady's name when you wrote it. It's the Pierce or whatever. But no relation. And yeah, I kind of agree with what everyone said. My thought is this: if I'm Brady Pierce, and this is what I've been doing with the NWA for the last 2 years or year and a half, I don't want to keep doing it. To be quite honest, I think I could make a better name for myself elsewhere. I it wasn't too long ago, a young man by the name of Scion said he didn't want to wrestle under a mask anymore, and told the NWA that he wouldn't be doing that anymore. And we haven't seen a whole lot of Robert Anthony since. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Brady Pierce could say, hey, you know what? I don't like the way I'm being used here. Call me when you have something better for me. And they said, okay, finish this match and then we'll send you on your way. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I too see Rush Freeman getting the W here. I just don't see a reason for Brady Pierce to stick around. They've used him so embarrassingly bad like just awful. They kind of brought him in with this idea. He was supposed to be a part of the Ill-Begotten. Jeremiah Plunkett brought him into the company, and then before they even had their first match, him and Rush Freeman break off and form their own deal, and then we get Rolando, and then everything just gets worse and worse. Never did they have a moment where they shined. Never did they have a moment where they looked like a really good tag team. There was a lot of potential there, but just never materialized. And for that reason, I think Brady Pierce is out, and I think Rush Freeman will be here. And then, so going back to more matches, then we also have the U.S. Tag Team title match, the Immortals, which they should have went with the God of Wars, taking on Talos and Daisy Kill for the NWA U.S. Tag Team titles. Any thoughts, any suggestions, gentlemen?
I want the Vikings to win.
The God of Wars,
Sure.
the Immortals.
But if he wins, Odinson can't do that stupid back forearm anymore.
You're gonna have to talk to his agent about that. I think he actually has that worked into his contract that he does 15. What do they call it? The
Odin uppercut or something.
yeah, something like that. DK, your thoughts on this one?
I think one of the reasons that there's not as much interest in this pay-per-view is we're not really expecting any title changes outside of, since so many titles changed hands at the last one.
Yeah.
And a lot of the matches that have been set up to say, yeah, we're probably not going to change this title. And the only two that seem to have that possibility are the U.S. Tag Team and the World Tag Team. At first, I would have bet you $1 million that the World Tag Team was going to change. But now with everything that's kind of happened and gone on, developed, spoiler, I'm actually going to predict blunt force trauma. So I am going to predict that the
Immortals.
Yeah, sure. Beat Daisy Kill and Talos, who remind me of Firebreaker Chip and Chris Champion. Just a thrown together team that you needed to put the titles on briefly to get rid of what's his name.
Do you think the WCW Patriots would have worked better if they really would have made Shaska Watley a mailman as part of the original going to do, make it a 4-man team to look like the YMCA?
That sounds even worse. Real quick, let me throw. Tim actually submitted his picks too, and I've been forgetting to read them. But he predicts that the Immortals will win the tag titles from Kills and Talos. And then Dave Scoob, I want to hear your prediction, but I think it's going to be similar to everyone else's. Who do you see going over on this one, Scoob? You're muted, Dave. You're muted. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Got to go with the Immortals. They're too good of a team to not win, and I believe them getting the belts will help the overall tag team division in building up some other teams. That the U.S. tag belts can be hot-shotted if need be. That you don't have to hold them for 6, 8, 10 months. You can hold them for a taping or two, and in that time, build up a couple other teams that will then fight each other to go after those belts. You can build some teams, and then, the Immortals, they're great as a team, and they're good enough as singles wrestlers that they don't have to always team. But I like them together with Kratos doing the talking and Odinson just being there, just standing in the background, being silent. He doesn't need to talk. And he doesn't need to continue the Asgardian uppercuts. Just do one or two and then hit a big power move and pin him 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna see the Kratos and Odinson walk away with this one, and it definitely makes people notice. Not to take anything away from Daisy and Talos. I just don't think that the long term that they were ever going to be long-term tag champions. I think this is an opportunity to let Odinson and Kratos shine. We've been saying for a very long time that Odinson deserved tag titles. Kratos is a former world tag team champion, so they have some credibility behind their name. They've looked really good in the ring together, so I think that they do go over. Lutha says whatever it takes to water down those uppercuts. Sure. Mike says Kratos and Viking will have issues, and that Talos and Keel retain. You're the only person that has said that, Mike. And then Luthez said, well, what's War Machine's contract status? Hanson and Rowe have NWA written all over them. Yeah, I think they're still very much a part of the WWE, but I 100% agree with you on that one. And then Tim says, would let Immortals run with the U.S. titles, just squashing for months, leading to a big Murdochs versus Immortal, champions versus champions. I mean, I don't hate that idea either. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. The next match that we'll talk about is the Southern Six over former, excuse me, that's my thought. Southern Six will be taking on the former NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Headbangers. This is Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton taking on Mosh and Thrash of former WWE fame. I'll go ahead and say my prediction first because I already said it. I don't really know why this match was made. I don't understand why you do this match, but Southern Six has got this one wrapped up already. DK, do you have a different opinion?
No. I have no interest in it, and I don't see why anybody would have interest in it. I sure as hell don't see why you wouldn't put over the home team.
Dave, you have any different idea on this one?
No, I'm going with the Six. I mean, I think they're just bringing in the Headbangers just because if you've watched wrestling over the past 25 years, you may know who they are. They're not huge stars, but if you watch wrestling, you know who they are. They're recognizable after you're reminded who they are.
Yeah. What do you think, Jaden?
As much as I want Mosh and Thrasher, they pick the Jersey Boys. I picked the Southerns too.
Southern two, and our pal Tim also had his vote of confidence for the Southern Six on that one. Then this one's a little bit different, especially for a hardcore pay-per-view. We have a submission match between Blake Bulletproof Troop and the former NWA Grand Slam champion, the man that held the World Tag Team titles, the North American Championship, the National Championship 2 times, and a former World's Heavyweight Champion in Jax, the Dane event, Dane. I'm excited to see this one, but I'm very curious as to how you guys see how it plays out. It's a submission match, which obviously would bode well for a MMA fighter who specializes in, tap out, knockout, or choke out, whatever it is. I don't know, DK, where do you see this one landing?
They seem to be getting ready to do something with
Troop
Dane.
Oh, Dane.
They seem to be building him towards something. Whether it's take on EC3 or Thrillbilly or what, I don't know. Dane certainly has the talent to be in the main event, so no pun intended. So I'm going to go with Dane wins. I mean, honestly, I don't think Troops look that good.
Scooby, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like you said, MMA fighter, submission guy. If Troop doesn't win, where does he go? It's either he wins or cut bait. The only thing I could see is Silvio interfering and costing Dane the match. But it's one of these things of it's a submission match, either win by submission or if Jax just passes out and he's unable to continue the match. It's ruled a no contest.
I mean, they they keep Rolando around, so I mean, like Troop could lose and they still keep him.
Our pal Tim, you guys might know him as the Alliance Gold. He's predicting a Bulletproof Troop victory as well. Jaden, I got to get your take. Who do you see going over?
I think I'm going to agree with the notorious DKM and pick the Vanilla Godzilla Jack Stain over the Goof Troop. Just because I've seen, and he's not bad. He's got potential, but I think Dane right now is somebody who could be marketed better with a better look on television. I'm going everything on a television aspect. So I think Dane.
I'm also going to side with you on Dane, but I do have some concerns like Scooby does, because what do you do with Troop after this? He's, like you said, Troop has a ton of potential. It's there. It just needs some more maturation. I mean, he made his debut in 2021, in-ring debut. So hasn't been at it for very long. And I think he could be someone we're talking about in a few years. But, I think Jack Stain is a guy that can do something for you right now. And, whoever walks away as world champion at the end of Samhain could certainly be challenged by Jack Stain. And I don't think anyone would bat an eye. So for me, that's why Jax has to win it. But like Scoob says, what the heck are you going to do with Troop after that?
Well, see, I'm kind of in reverse. I think that, Mims got beat up from the very beginning. However long they've been on Power. And, now he's the TV champion.
Sure.
So, there's nothing wrong with, paying your dues.
Sure.
And my question is, what do you do with Dane if he loses? He just lost to a guy that's barely been in the ring.
But also at the same time, I mean, although he's been using the Trap City, that the Steiner recliner like camel clutch move, he hasn't really known for his submission wrestling, where Bulletproof Troop is literally trained in mixed martial arts to get people to tap out.
Well, yeah, but that's the gimmick of the match, right? It was intentionally done to favor the heel. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You put it in there and you favor the heel. Maybe he uses one of his own moves against it. Maybe he uses a Kimura, an arm bar, or his camel clutch, or whatever. Maybe he hits something out of nowhere. Maybe he just knocks him unconscious and then puts him in a submission and, goes. This is old style classic wrestling booking. The heel has got the advantage because they're the ones that are the submission wrestlers. So you got beat me at my own game. What do? You beat the heel at their own game. Because I'm not expecting this feud to go on. It better not. Lord, it better not. But so if it's not going to go on, the person who needs to be victorious is the face, so that he can move up and do other things. True. Yeah. He just goes back to doing what he's doing. Find him another tag team partner. You put him in against Mims or whatever. You can redress Troop over the next year.
Yeah.
But that's fair. Let's move to the next match that I see. I'm going to go with looks like maybe the mystery box match. It sounds like a game of Mario Kart, where you've got you've got La Rebellion teaming with Vampiro, being brought to the ring by Jerry Other of the Misfits to take on the team of the Brothers of Construction and Violent J. It looks like this is going to be a 6-man tag match. I just don't really know what to think about this. I do know that our pal Tim had predicted that the Brothers of Construction will take the match over La Rebellion. But I'm going to ask you, Dave Scooby, who do you see going over in this one?
Well, same as Tim. I have the Clowns winning, And I mean, nothing against La Rebellion, but if they head back to Mexico, stay there for a while, then come back for Crockett Cup, I could see them being built back up. They're former world tag champions, but right now, I mean, this storyline, I would finish it up.
DK, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Tim on this one. First of all, Law Rebellion doesn't have to take the pin, so that's an advantage there. So it's time, maybe they were champions for the better part of 2 years. It's time maybe they take some time off so we can miss them and come back and come back individually for a while. We've talked about both of them, wrestling as singles. You don't have to break them up to do that, but you can bring them back individually and, get them shots at the junior heavyweight title or the national or TV title or, whatever you want, give them some singles wins. So, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. And in fact, really, I don't want to see the clowns anymore. And again, we're going to put this out there. If you're going TV, is that what you want? I mean, is that what you want to show your audience? Hey, look, we got clowns.
Hey, Doink the Clown was over in the 90s.
Sports entertainment, yeah.
Sure. Jade, what they
do with Doink, by the way? How many championships did Doink win?
He was contending for the NWA world title.
Yeah. But I'm talking about in WWE.
Well, they only had 3 championships back then, so it was a lot harder.
Not like today. But Jade, what did you think about? Who do you think is going over in this one?
I think La Rebellion just needs to go away because they're as a tag team, they need to go away because they've done as much as they can unless they're going to go after the U.S. tag belts now. I think that Say should go after the junior heavyweight championship and
Mecha Wolf.
I don't know what I was thinking. I want to see him go against Throwbilly or maybe for the TV title or something like that.
I mean, I don't hate either one of those. I'm a sucker for La Rebellion. I literally go to Mexico to watch them wrestle. So I'm going to go ahead and give my vote of confidence to the former 2-time World Tag Team Champions, Mecha Wolf and Bestia 666, along with Vampiro, and see what happens next for them. Of course, I don't disagree with you, Jade. I think that something different would be good for them, but for the time being, I'd rather see that matchup. Next up, we have the World Junior Heavyweight title. Things are getting personal on the internet. Our pal Colby Carino has really been taking it. It's a war of words between Joe Alonzo. Alonzo's really been he's been brutal, to be quite honest. I don't feel like Colby thought. I don't feel like your family, if they're not on TV, they shouldn't be part of the experience, but that hasn't stopped Joe Alonzo. He did a ton of shit talking to Homicide. We're seeing him do it again now to Colby, and this is for the World Junior Heavyweight title. So I'm going to ask you first, Jaden, because I know you're someone that has personal experience with Colby Carino. Is he going to retain his Junior Heavyweight Championship, or will he be just another victim for Joe Alonzo?
If they're going to go on television, well, Colby Carino and even Steve Carino weren't the biggest names in wrestling. They do still hold the name hold some weight.
Yeah.
And he's the more accomplished in-ring guy right now. So I think I would go with Colby Carino as champion for the TV purpose.
I'm going to toss it to you, Scoop. Who do you see going over?
As much as they've been pushing Alonzo, I'd like to see him take the belt at least for a while. Colby, I guess, came back after, I guess they did the hiring freeze or whatever with WWE, and with his dad being at the Performance Center, I could see him possibly heading back. But if not, Carino, to me, is a better challenger than a champion.
Oh,
I like the thrill of the chase. Granted, he's defended the belt out on the independents, and he's done a hell of a job in the time he's held the belt. But I see him better as a challenger than as champion. And as much crap as Alonso has been putting out there, they need to see if he can back it up and actually hold the belt and be a decent champion. He doesn't have to hold it long. And like the U.S. tag titles, hotshot some of these belts every once in a while. You don't need to have a long title reign. Have as many different champions as you can so you have variety. But it's one of these things of Colby's doing good, but it's one of the things that the NWA has so many belts that they can't highlight all the belts that they have in the time that they're given in doing their show of power and doing either outside defenses and stuff like that. So give Alonso a chance and see what he can do. If not, you can always go back and have Carino do his rematch clause.
DK, your thoughts?
Sorry, Scooby, you couldn't be more wrong. 100% wrong. Alonso's not a world champion. Plain, simple fact. He's not. He's not somebody that anybody promotion out there that's not some, just independent indie running, once a month or once every 5 months or once every 2 years or whatever, is going to put a title on. Any other promotion, they're not going to do it. He doesn't need it. He's kind of developing that Tully Blanchard. I'd pay to see him get his ass kicked, but I would not pay to see him win. And he's just not. If you want your titles to mean something, especially something you're calling a world title, tag teams can be a little bit different. But when you got your world singles championship, your world heavyweight championship, your world women's championship, and your world junior heavyweight champion, those titles should be stable. Those titles that should not hot shot. And really ever. You can hot shot the women's tag team titles, which are technically world, but and you can certainly hot shot the US, and the TV titles are meant to be hot shotted, which they'll probably do to poor Mims, but they got the title on Max now. Both women have champions have had so far seem to be pretty dominant. Not sure that's always the smartest thing. But, Carino's out there. He's defending it. If he is going to go back to WWE, there are better choices in the NWA right now than Alonso.
So our pal Timmy said that Timmy Thunder thinks that Joe Alonso is going to go over. And I disagree, DK. I don't think that necessarily that there is a better choice to put that title on, because I don't feel like
you're entitled to be wrong too.
It's okay for you to be wrong too, because I feel like when you look at Alonso and his body of work, who's he got victories over? Well, most recently, the former champion in Homicide, and a match that was brutal at its most brutalist. He's also got Jamie Stanley in his corner, which is a good person to have in your corner when you're doing a one-on-one match. But more than any of that, I do feel like Colby Carino's time is limited. He's had 12 defenses in the past 62 days as NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. And I think that was because he knows that his time is limited, because he's going to be going somewhere else. We know that Joe Alonso manifested his own way into the NWA. He got himself under contract. When he talks, those videos are getting hits on social media. He's going viral. I think that's what the NWA needs more of is characters who can hit with the audience, good, bad, or indifferent. I think Joe Alonzo is getting a reaction. And as much as I like Colby Carino, and I hope he continues to be champion, if I go with my heart, it's Colby Carino. If I go with my head, I think Joe Alonzo wins the title.
Doesn't matter which one with me. Both of them go to Carino, which is probably why Alonzo will win.
Well, right, and again, if Colby is going to the WWE, I mean, you put the belt on Alonzo and let him see what he can do with it, and if not, you still have a lot of options. Like Jaden mentioned, Bastia. You've got Alex Taylor, who's a guy that would love to be the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. You got Matt Vine on the roster. He's another guy that would make a good fit. Hell, you could even put Kerry back there if you absolutely had to. I know he wants to be a world heavyweight, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good little gimmick to keep him from challenging for the title because they don't want him to lose.
Right.
Kind of like with Nick Aldis and stuff like that. Hate it when they do shit like that. But honestly, and we know my feelings about Kerry Morton, I'd be happier for them to put the title back on Kerry Morton than I would for them to put it on Alonzo.
That's fair. Next up, let's talk about the NWA National Championship. A personal favorite on this show, Silas Mason, it will be defending his national title against a former two-time champion in Chris Adonis. Some call him Sexy Jesus. Jaden, what do you call him? Is he going to be champion after Saturday?
Here's the problem. I like the matchup. I don't like why the matchup is. This is Dixie Corrigan's way of doing dream matches, I guess, to put, play with action figures. If built up well and built up over time, I think this could have been a major program that they could have invested in for television. Right now, it just feels throwaway. It's just because it happens to say, hey, we need something for Thrillbilly. We need something for Adonis. Let's do it now. Now, I hope the match steals the show because they both have the ability to do it. And I hope they have a good feud where they want to see a good rematch. Television-wise, as a television executive, they would probably want Adonis to go over. But Thrillbilly's just got something special, even if he's not showing it now as part of this Southern Six thing.
Yeah.
And being in the movie looking like Terry Bam Bam Gordy, I think they can work with that. I kind of hope that Poyo signs with Adonis. They go heel or something and start a feud where Thrillbilly gets it back. But I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think they have a clue what they're doing. There's no 20-year plan when it comes to booking.
Scooby, your thoughts?
I mean, Thrillbilly needs a win over somebody with a name. Plus, he's a former two-time national champion. So Adonis really won't get hurt if he does take the loss. But they're talking about a burning lake brawl. And I mean, I'm like, everything just seems so thrown together with no explanation. So it's one of those things that I'll be there live and I hope it's explained or I can figure out what the actual match means, because overall, this being a new pay-per-view that they're doing, it's unproven. We don't know what to expect, and they really aren't telling us. They're telling us without explaining what the actual matches are. So I'm going with Thrillbilly for the win. Plus, Thrillbilly getting a win. It'll be over a name. And I think he just needs to build up some wins with the national title before they start pushing him towards the 10 pounds of gold, if they do indeed do that.
Mr. DKM, the king, if you will.
This is one of those things where if done right, you could get a series, and so this first one would start in some kind of screw job or double disqualification or something, some kind of crazy ending. But I think this time Dave Scooby's 100% right in that Thrillbilly needs a win over that next level opponent. And so I loved his promo, by the way.
Yeah.
That gosh, just nails his promos so well.
Every time.
And I think he needs that. He needs a clean, clear-cut win over somebody that matters. And because they're the next level. You know, Adonis just challenged for the world title, even if it was a bad match. But, you know, he at least just challenged, and he's the former two-time champion and all that stuff. Getting a win over Adonis is a big deal for Thrillbilly, and it's needed. And so I'm going with that.
You can't blame Adonis though on having a bad match against Unicron. It's just not.
No, I don't blame him.
Well, and to make it even worse, like when you look at Adonis, his last big match was against Tom Latimer for the TV title. So he lost the TV title opportunity. You know, he lost against Tom, and now he's, you know, we're all saying he's going to lose to Silas, or I guess the three of us are saying that he's going to lose to Silas Mason, which, you know, kind of puts that whole what do you do next with Adonis, which, you know, again, it wouldn't be horrible for him to disappear for a little bit and come back after a while. And I know if Polka Dot Pam's watching, she's probably cursing me right now, but I really feel like at this point, it would make a lot more sense to have Silas Mason get that big victory over. Now, I don't disagree with DKM and having a series of matches. I would love that because I do like Adonis a lot in the ring, and I also agree with what Jaden said is, you know, throwing him with Poyo. But I do know that Poyo won't be a part of the TV tapings. I know that she has other plans that evening, so she won't be on TV either. So I don't think that
May's coming back.
What's that?
May's coming back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but May's coming back as a backstage reporter. But I know Thrillbilly will be in Palm Springs hosting a wrestling event as a part of the Pride event in Palm Springs.
Thrillbilly?
No, Poyo.
I thought you said Thrillbilly. I'm sorry.
Did I say Thrillbilly?
You did.
I don't even. Oh, I don't know.
Okay, maybe I did. I'm sorry, Poyo. Excuse me.
I'm just thinking right now of Polka Dot Pam hitting you with the steel chair for A, talking about Adonis, and B, to steal your shirt.
Right? Okay, so moving. Oh, and then our pal Tim said that he thinks that Mason gets the deuce there too. All right, let's go. The next match will be Pretty Empowered defending their NWA Women Tag Team Champions against Markova Rising. That's Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising taking on Ella Envy and Kylie. What are they calling her? Kylie Page? Kylie Alexa? Whatever.
Kylie Page on the show. Kylie Alexa's her Twitter.
DK, give us your take.
What?
Who do you think is going to win this match? What do you mean, what? What have we been doing this whole time?
Obviously, I think Pretty Empowered's going to win it, and I think they should win it.
Jaden, your thoughts?
I pretty much picked Pretty Empowered. And if you don't think so, then you're ugly.
Pretty Power approved. Dave Scooby, your thoughts on this one?
I have Pretty Empowered winning, but they're going to win because Roxy interferes, trying to get back in their good graces, and it backfires. They end up winning. So I see down the line, hopefully, if Roxy does stay, that she can find a tag team partner and they can build up that tag team for the next or an upcoming taping or pay-per-view. So the story continues. If not, just take her out and she's out of the picture.
I I'm also on the Pretty Empowered board. I think you guys all know that I'm a huge Ella Envy fan. I just think that there's bigger plans for Markova. I do believe that at some point she will be challenging Kenzie Page for that women's world title, and I just think at this point it doesn't really do her a whole lot of good putting the belts on her. But let's also not forget that Ella Envy's really good at winning tag team titles, but she's not really good at holding on to tag team titles or partners for that matter. So we'll have to just kind of see how that plays out. Our boy Timmy says that he thinks that Pretty Empowered gets the win there. Next up is the Blunt Force Trauma World Tag Team title match. BFT taking on Knox and Murdoch for the World Tag Team titles. With this ridiculous round tables table match. I don't really understand the premise of it. I'm hoping that they'll shed some more light on it. Our pal Tim, even before the announcement that Aaron Stevens will be barred from ringside, had picked BFT over Knox and Murdoch. Also with the aforementioned notice that there is no mention of Knox on the flyer for the November 4th TV taping, leads this guy to believe that Blunt Force Trauma are going to defy the odds and retain those tag titles against Murdoch's. But I want to hear your take, Dave Scooby. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I mean, now knowing that that Knox may not be at the tapings, I could see Blunt Force Trauma retaining. But this being a tables match, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. And with Aaron being quote unquote barred from ringside, I'm not sure how that will. I mean, he's helped Blunt Force Trauma win every other match.
Yep.
So if he's not there to interfere on their behalf, they may not retain. But I don't know. All I can think of is Knights of the Round Table, that there's just going to be a bunch of lumberjacks around the ring just going knee, 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 like the Monty Knights that go knee. But I don't know. This is one of those things that we know it's a tables match, but they haven't explained what exactly is going on. And they almost wait to the last minute to have Aaron barred from ringside. So if he's barred from ringside, he's going to possibly show up.
It's merely a flesh wound. Jaden, your thoughts on this one?
Aaron Stevens is coming out in drag, looking like a woman, and going to interfere and push Knox to the table, and then he'll be Knox to the table, and he'll be injured because round tables don't break as easy.
And DK, wrap it up.
Yeah, it depends on why it depends on why Aaron Stevens is barred from the building. If he's barred from the building because he's not going to be there, then that opens up a whole new thing. If he's barred from the building as part of a gimmick, then yeah, they'll somehow end up outside the building or something, or he'll have a mask or whatever. And, maybe he'll put on the question mark mask. I don't know. Okay. And be there. This is solely based on the fact that Knox hasn't been advertised for the TV taping. I'm saying something happens where they retain, probably controversially, and it may set up a third match. Or I guess it's a third, isn't it?
Yeah.
May set up a fourth match.
That brings us to the Burke. We're going to have Kenzie Page defending her title against Ruthie J. Ruthie J won her number one contendership on the first episode of Power in the new era. And so now she has an opportunity to challenge Kenzie for that title. I'm going to start off with you first, Dave Scooby. I mean, Ruthie J had that great victory. She's had some good wins in the NWA, but is she anywhere close to having this become the era of Ruthie J?
No, Kenzie retains, but I do like that they are trying to build up some of the newer talent. and just by having her go against Kenzie will raise her stock in the NWA, I believe. But Kenzie has to retain. It'd be wasted if she doesn't.
And then I'm going to throw that to you, DK. Whose side are you on this one?
You know, when Ruthie first won the number one contendership thing, my statement was she would be a great challenger for TV because you basically know how the match is going to go. And yeah, it's going Kenzie retains.
And how about you, Sir Shrubbery? Who walks away?
I think it should be Kenzie Page. She needs a good win. So, you know, this is a big win. Not a big win. It's just a win for her. So she's over as champion. I agree with DK. It should have happened on TV or at least the internet.
Yeah.
But it's a win for Kylie Page. I mean, LMD. Kenzie. I don't know. All those pretty empowered look alike. So they don't really.
No. Tim also agreed with us that Kenzie Page will win this. I don't think there's any doubt at this point. Pretty Empowered is pretty dominant. No pun intended there. And I feel like Kenzie has definitely taken her character to the next level as world champion. I think the worst thing you could do right now would be to cut that title out from underneath her, especially with no offense to Ruthie J, somebody who's still very young in the ring, still very green in the ring in a very non-offensive way. I think she's going to be a very talented performer for the NWA, but I think right now is just a little bit too soon. And then, of course, the main event and a no limits match, which has nothing to do with Master P. You're going to have EC3 defending his 10 pounds of gold against Tom Latimer with his insurance policy and wife, Camille, in his corner. This one is set up to have all kinds of chicanery. We know our pal Timmy thinks that EC3 is going to go over Tom Latimer. And now I'm going to press that question to you, Mr. Jaden. Is EC3 going to be golden at the end of the pay-per-view, or will we have a new World Heavyweight Champion?
Right now, EC3 is the best thing in the NWA. With having his own territory.
Yep.
With being on OVW. With having a match coming up where he's wrestling against Jesse Goddard, with him wrestling against Crowbar, with him wrestling against various other opponents throughout the country.
Yep.
It needs to be EC3, and I think Camille should be the one costing Latimer the win.
My biggest concern is that what do you do with Tom if he doesn't win? And a loss, even at the hands of a mistake by the insurance policy or intentionally, where do you go with Tom at that point? It feels like this entire time in the NWA has been built up for this moment, but it just doesn't feel like it's the right time to pull the trigger. I'm going to ask you, DCam, what do you think about this title match? Is it EC3 or is it Tom Latimer?
It's EC3. I don't see how it couldn't be, like, just for all the reasons Jaden gave, and also there's talk of a custom belt for EC3. So
God, I hope not.
I hope not. I hate the idea of everybody getting their own custom belt, but
I don't know. I like Cahagas's.
Well, yes, but that was kind of after the fact. You know, Tyrus had his 12 pounds of gold, and now EC3 wants to replace the flags with.
They had to almost wipe out the cattle population in the state of Oklahoma to get enough leather, but still.
That's true. And everything, so everything seems to be heading EC3's way. Jaden put it best. He's the best thing going right now. I'll set up so that Jake can go out with his wife here at some point.
Well, we'll let Dave Scooby have the final say on this match. Who walks away with the gold, Mr. Scoobs?
I think EC3 retains due to interference by Camille, either interference on her behalf, or I believe she also threw in a towel on a Latimer match a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly which,
with Nick Aldis.
but she did throw in the towel. So it could be either a split up of the power couple, or Tom just passes out and EC3 gets the pin because he passed out. It's not a submission match. I'm not sure what the no limits match actually is. If it's a no DQ, then Camille can interfere on his behalf, but I think it backfires and EC3 retains.
And Matthew Underwood's predicting Tessa Blanchard comes in to distract the the one-time women's world champion Camille. That's going to do it for us.
I actually like that idea, except for the Tessa Blanchard part.
Who would you put in place instead of Tessa?
I don't know. I haven't thought that deeply about it, but the concept of somebody coming in and
Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose.
I'm all for that. But that's going to do it for us, guys. First of all, thank you, Dave Scooby, for joining us tonight. You can see Dave Scooby regularly on Wednesday nights. He and Jeremy and Tim are the other Alliance guys. They talk MLW. They do fantasy booking. They talk United Wrestling Network. And, of course, they talk about the NWA. Thanks for joining us, Dave Scooby. You can follow Dave on social media. Isn't it just at Dave Scooby?
Yes, that is correct.
Very easy to find him. And then, of course, DCAM, they can follow you on all social medias at
DKM FWTX. Don't annoy me.
You can stay up to date with Dog Pro Wrestling by visiting their website, dogprowrestling.com. Jaden says he has news. Are you able to discuss this news on the air?
Yes.
Go for it.
You didn't say I was going to. You just said if I could. Anyway, I actually have some news on Thursday afternoon, April 25th, at the Rowan College of Burlington County. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators will be returning to have an event at Rowan College of Burlington County. It's going to be a free event for students at RCBC. So all you have to do to get tickets is to sign up for the classes in the second semester and tell them that Dog sent you, and that's why you are now signing up to get your life on track and getting a public education, or a private education, or whatever. I don't even know. You're getting smarter. And that way you're going to see, I already know, scheduled to appear. There is the World Wrestling Grand Prix champion Chris Steeler scheduled to appear. Patch and Vinny the Fixer, the Old School Empire, is scheduled to appear. There is going to be a lot of great pro wrestlers. Unfortunately, Dave Dahl's also scheduled to appear too. But there's a lot going on, and I know there's stuff going on because generally these events like this is at the universities, they like to bring the big guns, so you might see some big stuff there. The benefit to the RCBC one is there isn't restrictions where
filming,
where Dr. Zirconia, well, not even that, but there's no restriction where Dr. Zirconium has to own all trademarks for anything associated with it. So, like originally the Rowan University events, the World Wrestling Grand Prix, couldn't be defended because Dr. Zirconium didn't own the trademarks to World Wrestling Grand Prix. That's owned by the WWGP Executive Board. But things have worked out now where that can be part of it. But now, with the Rowan College of Burlington County, you never know what you might see.
Maybe a return of the Valkyrie Championship.
Maybe. Or maybe, say, a other promotion might have a championship defended or something. You never know.
That sounds very interesting, and I look forward to hearing all about it in the coming weeks, and we'll be discussing that here, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about it. Of course, you can find me next week at the pre-party on Tuesday at 5:05 Eastern, 2:05 Pacific. Also, I want to bring up that next Thursday, we're going to have a special guest on the show. We're going to be talking to the other Billy and speak about what could have been had Billy Wood purchase the NWA. We've had him on the show before. We've talked a little bit about it in the past, but Billy wants to give us some of the inside the baseball talk about the NWA and what could have been the European expansion starting right there in the United Kingdom. And we'll be talking about that next week. So I hope you guys will join us for that. It should be a fun discussion. But until next time, gentlemen, ladies, and anywhere in between, thank you so much for watching us. Until next time, we will see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance blog. And until next time,